it's been one of those, like, I was not doing a lot this week, but I've also, like, was taking some pleasure in not doing a lot, just kind of
Yeah.
being around the people I love and care for and trying to figure out the easy pass works. Uh, but like it was all but like the end of it, I did 3 stand-up shows in 2 days and like one of
Nice.
them, like 2 of them were in like Lewis, not Lewis, Rehoboth, all the way down to Rehoboth.
Oh, nice,
And
nice.
like, man, the drive down to Rehoboth is nightmarish,
Mhm.
and the drive back is like I feel like it when I was younger and you would like go to the beach. It was so spooky and like kind of romantic to drive back from Rehoboth because
Mhm.
there is nothing. And now it's just dead ass boring. And it's hard to do a boring drive.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
frustrating drive is hard, but a late night boring drive, you have to like, okay, you're fine. You're fine. Just stay focused, stay
yeah.
focused. You're almost there. And like it's one of those ones where like you make a lot of distance and you still have to be like, wow, I've driven for an hour and now I have to drive for an hour to get
Right.
close to where I need to be.
Exactly.
It is late. I want to point this out. We're doing a decaf synthetic coffee because both of us have been so busy. But even if it has been late, I think it's important to say, hi, Andrew,
Hello, Brandon.
start that timer. There we
Oh
go.
yeah.
So, do you have anything specific you want to talk about before I hop in with the thing I want to talk about?
No, go for it.
Okay, I want to talk about this isn't going to be evergreen, but I think it's going to be evergreen. And I'm not listening to myself as well. I don't think you have to get threads, the new social media thing.
Okay, I
I,
should have seen this one coming. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing is I'm on it and like I am like everyone else, trying to ground floor this thing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be one of the people. You kind of put your name in the hat of a million billion people, and you go, will today be the day my name gets pulled out of the hat and someone goes, this joke is good, this thing is good. And I got buddies, and it's happened to them, and they worked hard to get there, and I'm not negating their hard work.
Mhm.
But I do feel like social media is not in and out, like it's easy to demonize social media.
Mhm.
It really is. But it's harder to go, yeah, I mean, it's not inherently evil, but it is eating. And I'm speaking for myself too. More than it is eating so much of your creativity for a abstract shot at some level of fame
Mhm.
that is not necessarily directly connected to your process or what you want to do, but you have to keep this idea, and I do it that you have to keep your like hand in the fire as long as you can with everyone else trying to be the one who gets picked is really exhausting.
Mhm.
And every time a new one hits, we all go, "Oh, we better run over there and do it." Because, and I'll say, like, Instagram sucks now. I've never done TikToks, but like Instagram, you can't really get any of your pictures over. It's all reels now. But like it is exhausting to try to get to do this just over and over again. And I want to say that if you feel exhausted doing that, I see you and I feel you and I get it.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if I could stop, but I'm giving other people permission to not have to do this and maybe go poster and maybe, use it only. It's also, and we've talked about this before, um, social media is a great tool if you're trying to make art and get it out there. Unfortunately, it's also one of the most devastating things in your hand. Like it's super useful and it can screw up everything.
Mhm.
And it can screw up everything because you can run your stupid mouth and say some stuff you shouldn't. And instead of learning in private, they'll make a lesson out of you, and that sucks. And I'm not
Mhm.
going to pretend like it doesn't suck. And it also can suck just because like you just end up going, ugh, and like it's worse than video games. At least video games, you get some twitching going in your fingers. This you can just sort of not feel. It's so easy to not feel anything
Yeah.
on social media, and it's so easy to just keep going back and doing it again and again and again and getting less and less out of it and not caring.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I so with when we're out like for example like last week when we were talking about like networking and stuff like that
Hmm.
uh either for Yonko or for the other group that I plan, I'll always say, do you have Facebook? Do you have Instagram? All that stuff. And, of course, most people do, so we'll, hook up, connect on, Facebook or whatever. And, but more often than you would think, like there are people, like young people as well, who will say like, no, I'm not on Facebook or not on, I don't do social media, or that kind of thing. And I'm sure in some cases they're just trying to get me off their back, but but there's also but I can tell like when people are not just doing that,
Yeah, you can
and
tell by looking at it. Yeah.
yeah. And I can also and what I always say is like I'm so jealous, because if it wasn't for like the music and trying to market, stuff like that, then I would love to just not be on social media. I would be very happy.
The ring light fell. It's okay. It's lit. It's very live. That's why people sleep to this. I wish, I mean, honestly, stop. And like, it's also hard. One of the things that I feel like sometimes it's really hard to explain to young people, like, we are of an age where like Facebook felt so fun, new, and exciting and interesting that it got. You used to, and you're a little bit older than me with this. It's done it again. This is live, man. This is good. This is the right amount of talk we want. It's going to do it a third time. We got a rule of 3 going, exactly. And now it knocked it over. And I'm trying to sound smart about social media, and it's just like this much in my mouth.
Well, it's okay because it's giving a pretty good view of your shirt, which is an awesome shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's like one of my old, like, it's technically a paint shirt, but I think the more I paint it up, the happier it makes me. And I just it's you're allowed to wear like 7 good shirts that are just your shirts forever, and then everything else you're just trying to match those 7.
Yep. Absolutely.
So Facebook it's hard to explain how wonderful and fun Facebook was when it first started, and how like you put stuff up there and maybe you put a little poem on there, and then someone would go, wow, you wrote your little poem. I love this little poem. And then you would get a little like, and it didn't have to, and you weren't always going against the entire world. It still felt a lot like you had a community around that Facebook. It's actually one of the reasons I still really like kind of Discord. I think if you do social media, Discord is the one that feels the most healthy to me, because it's like 30, maybe there's big ones, but you all have a similar interest, and you just talk on that similar interest, and it's not Reddit, because Reddit looks insane to me. Like, it looks like Reddit with all the edges kind of worn down, which is what old Brandon needs. But it's a hard thing to explain to folk, not only how hip Facebook was, but how nice it was. And part of it is we didn't carry it with us at first. It was a thing.
That's true.
You lived your life, and then you sat down and you wrote your little journal. It was we called it a journal, and you weren't keeping track as it was happening.
Yeah.
You would come back to it. I think that's something that our brains aren't rigged to have. That we're not rigged to have a thing that you can look at and just suddenly interact with. It is something that it's easy. It's so easy to override the center that tells time, that knows stuff, once you put it in your hand. And once you can do it, and I do it. I'm not pretending like I'm better than it, but it's such an easy thing to always in a little bit have to be on. You're always a little bit on. You're always a little bit performing when you're always on social media. At least me. I can't speak for everyone, but certainly I feel that
way. I think that in most cases, or I mean, I don't know. I think in a lot of cases, I hate saying most or that kind of stuff, but I think in a lot of cases, I think a lot of people are. I mean, because you still have that idea, because that I think has probably always been, even going back to the old days of Facebook, like you're talking about.
That's such a weird sense.
Yeah, there's always been that aspect of kind of performing and putting, showing everybody how good your life is, and that kind of stuff.
Or bad.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, that's true, because definitely, like, there's some people who just put it all out there.
I definitely listen. I'm not better than it. I definitely wrote some sad boy poetry. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't. But at least then it wasn't like in the moment. It does feel you know that you know what we don't talk about enough, the Twilight Zone, just in general, just as
Mm.
a society, we should always be taught. At any moment, someone should go, "Do you remember that episode of the Twilight Zone? It's just good. It's a real good show. You should watch it. It has a vibe that very little things can reflect. It's trying to say something. It is not as try hard as Black Mirror in any way, shape, or form. Because boy, Black Mirror gets try hard. Um, I'm not afraid to say it. Black Mirror gets try hard. Uh,
Yeah, not in their last season though. I don't think they were trying hard enough. You know,
oh, got him. Did you watch the newest season?
I've watched the newest season. Yeah.
I didn't bother. I bailed out after that Choose Your Own Adventure one because it was just so silly. Like it
I
was so silly.
well, the thing about it, I mean, we're getting off topic. Well, what is our topic? We don't know.
What is the top? The
But
topic is social media on social
yeah,
media. The snake eats itself.
yeah. I mean, I think so. But if we go down this little sidebar here, I think the thing is like because every episode is so different. Like you've got some amazing ones, and then of course you have some that are not that great. So
Yes, but in black and white, and you can watch it with your
yeah,
parents. So
right,
that the and some of it's more metaphorical, I think, which is nice for
yeah,
the Twilight Zone. But I always think about with what the internet has done to us is the one where they're at that guy's funeral and they're all wearing ugly people masks and they're
mm,
making fun of that dead guy, and then somehow when they take the masks off, it screwed up their real faces, and that's their real faces now.
mm,
That's what I feel like how the internet has made me feel is
mm,
like it is the mask I show the world, but then that mask, ugliness and all and weirdness is all ends up being me. Like you,
mm,
on some level, you're always the mask you wear. Like
mm,
you can never. Every time you put on another layer of mask, you are just being more of yourself, and it
mm,
always seems to move in both directions. You can't
yeah.
not get stung by this thing.
Yeah, and I don't know what the solution is. Like it's because the other thing, and I'm just thinking of this right now. Like even though I always say like I'm jealous, that someone's not on social media. Um, and I really do think I would be very happy not being on social media. But at the same time, like what would that look like? Like and it's not like because it's not as easy as just saying, oh, it would be the same thing as like being back in the 90s, early 2000s or whatever like that. Because it's not that simple. Because if you're not on social media but everybody else is, what does that say about your or not what does it say about you, but how does it influence your interactions, and that kind of stuff. So
And like, it's also one of those things like, how perpetually online do you want to be?
yeah.
You
Mhm.
really got to ask yourself, how much do you want to see people make fun of a ukulele uh apology video? And like that's a real question that you have to ask, and there doesn't seem to be a healthy but it's one of those things that it always feels like you're either not with the times or just like pathetically online, and it's
Yeah.
really a hard balance to make and to go, oh, did you see this little controversy and that little controversy, and then people go no, and they go, oh wow, you just like lived a life. But the
Yeah.
reverse side of that is like, did you know that this
Yeah.
happened? 3 minutes. Thank you. Thanks, thanks for letting Andrew play. Uh, but the reverse side of that is like, oh, did you see that this happened or that happened? And then you don't want to be left out. There's,
Yeah.
it's a real. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't think Threads fixes it. It's I I understand that you can kind of go, oh, it's human nature, but I would like for myself and for everyone around me to be more creative and happier and less stressed out by something that is could very easily just into the wind. Like social media, a server goes down, something goes funky, it goes, and everything goes in the end, I guess. But it's a real I really thought about it a lot with sort of this everyone sort of dancing around with threads and going, "It's back. We have it back." And like, what are we doing with that? Why are we shoving so much time and creativity into this? And I'm not, and I speak as someone who is doing it. And like, what could we be doing better?
Mhm.
And like, who are we talking to? That's the other thing I think is so weird is I feel like we talk to ourselves constantly and pretend like there are other people in the room because maybe there are. And it certainly has exasperated the instability that I feel. Do you have that feeling, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess with threads, I haven't put that much thought into it because um I'm not that really interested in like Twitter.
Hmm.
Uh and you know, I tried to go on Twitter and multiple times. I've like made over the years I made several accounts, you know, like tried to get it started and then they just sort of I just don't follow through with them. Um so
I for clarity, I've bounced off Twitter too. I never really took for it.
yeah. So I guess in that sense, like I haven't really put a lot of thought into threads because it's sort of uh but maybe I should. I mean, maybe that's something that would help my career. So I don't know.
No, maybe not though. Maybe you
Yeah.
can do others. Maybe you should hand out business cards and work on playing the
Yeah.
guitar real good.
Right.
Like it just I was just on threads making jokes, and I'm making jokes. That's part of what I have to do. But I
Mm,
was just and you're just like, hey, and you tag like a famous person, and you're like, maybe they'll notice, and you're like,
mm,
I hate this. Like
yeah.
I hate all this sort of uh desperate everyone it's the beginning of Willy Wonka and everyone's desperately searching for the golden ticket, but there is no golden ticket, and the people who get it seem to be miserable and they're killed in the factory. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what it
and
feels
also
like.
yeah, trying to sort of
Hey, wrap it up.
yeah, that's good to end on Willy Wonka. Let's do
Yeah, it's
that.
always good to have Twilight and Willy Wonka
In
after
the
dark.
same
That's what
episode.
this one's just called.